What is up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and you guessed it, it is time. I have 5 more albums that I want to share with you that you do not want to miss this month. Now, unlike past months where this has been all self-contained releases from this month, this one's a little bit of a mixed bag with some leftovers from that insane month of April, as well as some newer releases from this month. But that said, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, but let's get into it. Alright, first up, we've got another injection of accordion, fiddle, wenches, and tankards with Italian folk metal band Blodiga Skald's sophomore album, The Undrunken Curse, via Soundage Productions. I would recommend Blodiga Skald to fans of Svartsat, Equilibrium, and Managarm. And praise Odin, finally some folk metal that doesn't spare the axe. It feels as if it's been months since anything of note really crossed my path in this genre, but regardless, I'm glad that Blodiga Skald are back with a second dose of their rich fantasy and highly energetic songwriting. The Undrunken Curse is most definitely an evolution from the already strong foundations of Rune, stepping up their game in all possible departments. The death metal vocals and guitars are on par with Equilibrium in their bombast, the instrumentals and feminine vocal interludes provide increased dynamic range, and the folk instrumentation from the bouncy accordion to the highly evocative strings is more lush than ever. Thematically, this album is all over the place. Vikings, pirates, classical, circus, techno, it's all fair game on the Undrunken Curse. So run, don't walk to check this thing out if you're fans of any of those bands I mentioned above or things like Ensiferum. This is an amazing album. Hopefully you caught my reaction video when I first watched the lead single for this album too. It's a good time, very entertaining and funny as well. These guys have a good sense of humor in addition to being fantastic musicians. Next up, we've got Colorado sludge duo in the Company of Serpents returning once more with their specific brand of vagrant fireside sludge on Lux. I'd recommend In the Company of Serpents to basically people who like the idea of Mastodon meets Tom Waits. Now, with their previous album, Ein Sof Or, I described the sound of In the Company of Serpents as bluesy drifter doom and sludge played under a bridge by a campfire. And I remain very proud of that description as it continues to hold true for Lux. Guitarist and vocalist Grant Netzorg sounds like a world-weary hobo with his gravelly smoker's croon, bringing a certain southern swagger to the riffs along the way. The hooks are simple but effective, hypnotic even. The swaying rhythms of The Fool's Journey and rumbly bass groove of Scales of Mott conjure the gritty feel of cold concrete and rusty rebar. On the latter, I'm sensing just a touch of 90s alternative attitude a la Helmet amidst the doom. It's the type of song that might have been on the Crow soundtrack. These waves of distortion are then offset by the pure Waits acoustic and lap steel of tracks like Prima Materia. Despite the stripped-back, streamlined approach to the music, the lyrical concepts are anything but. Lux continues the trend of heady, meditative concepts, this time focusing on the notion of a fundamental root essence behind everything in the Manifest universe. Lux is a grim and often nihilistic-sounding album that harnesses chilling atmosphere to great effect. Throw in guest appearances from the Colorado Chamber Players, violinist Paul Primus, Primitive Man guitarist vocalist Ethan Lee McCarthy, and Chemist guitarist vocalist Ben Hutcherson, and In the Company of Serpents are sure to make some waves in these bleak times. Another promise, another lie, another return to another left, another lie. Alright, going for an even deeper cut here, we've got hardcore mixed with HM2 old school death metal flair from France's Death Horror and their new self-titled EP. I would recommend Death Horror for fans of Wolf King, Left Behind, and Jesus Peace. If you see flashing lights and police tape outside of my house, there is a good chance it was because I gave Death Horror a few too many spins. Combining back to basics hardcore fury with the classic HM2 distortion of old school death metal, this EP can only end in violence. With song titles like One Knife Cut, I'm Into Murders, and simply Violence, it's a 21-minute tightly balled fist of ferociously hoarse vocals, crunchy riffs, and pummeling D-beat that may put anyone in close proximity in danger. Everything about this album absolutely rips, and while they're not winning any accolades for exciting new innovations, Deathwhore make up for it by ramping up the intensity factor to 11. This Denver blackened death metal band is about as aggressive as it gets. We're talking, of course, about Black Curse and their new album, Endless Wound. Black Curse features current and former members of Primitive Man, Spectral Voice, Blood Incantation, and Chemists, and feels about on par with the likes of Vermin Womb and Titan Blood. This is a total nightmare of an album that literally sounds like the walls are burning and collapsing all around you.
This is fine.
There's a nice mix here of straight, bruising, old-school death metal with slower, more atmospheric territory. In either case, still spreading as much filth and disease as possible. Chris wrote up a really great full-length review of this album on metaltrenches.com, and even named it as one of his favorites of the year so far, so definitely be sure to check it out. And last but not least, I feel like I've been kind of slacking on black metal, so we've got Australian black metal band Order of Orias summoning Satan himself with their second album, Ablaze, via WTC Productions. Think Deathspell Omega, Asoth, and Watain. Appropriate to the title, this is another one of those albums that falls into a subsect of the genre that I refer to as Hellfire black metal. Between the production and approach to guitars, it's music that sounds more like a blazing inferno than notes played by any mere man. In keeping with this theme, the vocals seem to snarl from the very depths, demanding nothing less than total supplication, sacrifice even. And unlike a lot of other traditional black metal bands out there, Order of Orias aren't afraid to crack out a ripping solo or two, as well as give the bass guitar its due in the mix, with some parts just as noteworthy as the leads. Pacing ranges from raging double bass-driven torrents of flame to doomier, more methodical simmering of the embers. If you check this one out, be sure to wear oven mitts. And that'll do it. 5 more albums that you definitely should not miss from the past few weeks. And as always, let me know in the comments what you think of these. I really enjoy hearing word from, either on our social media or getting emails or whatever, just saying like, hey man, I really appreciate I didn't even know about this album and it's so amazing, and I've discovered so many amazing albums thanks to your channel and metaltrenches.com. Like that it touches me. Right here. I got a soft spot for that. So please continue to do that. In the description, you can find links to all of our social media, the email newsletter, which I send out personally every Friday to keep you up to date with what's going on at metaltrenches.com, and also our Patreon and Subscribestar. Please consider donating. It makes a huge difference to me. But more than anything else, if you're new here, please do subscribe to the channel. What are you doing? There's so many other videos that if you enjoyed this one, you're going to enjoy the other ones. There's other videos just like this, rounding up other albums. There's full album reviews. There's discography tier lists. There's the podcast. So much stuff. So please do stick around. Don't go anywhere after this one. Plenty more to come. But for now, this is Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.
Things are gonna be okay.